a jump, but it really shouldn't be. This is Arknights, and it's a tower defense game, meaning bad guys come from one side of the screen and walk along designated paths to their exit, and you place static defenses to clear them before they reach it. That is to say, you don't control a character in tower defense games. There are basically never movement mechanics in these games because they're played from the perspective of an omniscient commander who need not move. Not only that, but in Arknights the characters don't move either. They are the towers here, and the fact that they aren't literally immovable structures doesn't change the fact that they don't move. There is no mechanic for them to move out of the way. Actually, I should probably explain this for people who are less familiar with game logic. This is an animation. The character looks like they're moving, but the visuals don't actually change anything. They just play for aesthetic purposes over a invisible entity that does the attacking and blocking. They're parallel but not connected to anything the character is doing. To implement this jump, they had to make the invisible entity under the character disappear just for that tiny part of the attack. For a tiny second that will affect almost nothing. And yet, this is a jump. It doesn't have to be. It wouldn't have been expected to be, but it is, and that was kind of the reason I started this project. The jump is a fascinating piece of game design because it's at once so ubiquitous and so varied. On the one hand, it's so common that even a game like Arknights understands what it needs to entail and how to implement it. But on the other hand, so many games approach this basic building block from so many ways. We've seen this ourselves across the project. Such a basic element is reinterpreted across every game we've covered. In our introduction, Celeste used its jump to teach us to understand its world, and Spider-Man used its jump to help us move like a superhero. Then we moved on to Titanfall, and things got a little more personal. Titanfall brought us through a character arc alongside its protagonist, using its jump and its complexities to turn us into the hero we were shown in the beginning. Through our growing understanding of the movement, we became more powerful and more capable, growing not because of new powers or tools, but through mastery of something we had all along. Finally, we looked at Jet Set Radio and how it uses its movement to create identity. Its movement is eccentric and hard to place, depriving the player of context in a positive rather than a negative way. Instead of making a single hero of the narrative, its wide cast of characters encourages the player to develop an identity of their own, carving a space devoid of pre-existing identity, and then encouraging new and unique development in a way that's unmistakably queer. I've done my best to relay and express what makes these games so special, knowing that I can't really properly relay the unique and personalized experiences of playing these games. But I also want to say that this is only a tiny slice of the diversity this medium has to offer. There are so many different takes on the jump from so many games. There are easily 2 or 3 more videos I could add to this series, had I the time and temperament to make them. Actually, the footage you're seeing right now is from Xenoblade Chronicles X, which was supposed to make this a 3-part series, but beyond even finishing the video, I couldn't even finish the game in time. It just goes to show the depth and diversity of the medium, I think. It's easy to think of video games as they were in the 80s and 90s, as novelty projects running on crude consoles and bulky computers, but as they've grown more mature as an art form, they've become so much more than that. There's beautiful art here, hidden behind a niche subculture and a moderate barrier to entry, and I want it to see the light of day. I don't know if I can change this. I don't know if I can make this big alteration to the way we think about art. But if I've learned anything from these games, it's that it's certainly worth a try.